Create a cadence of accountability. Okay, allow me to explain. So, hello everybody, and welcome back to the book review series where we go through books, read them, talk about them, explain whatever the hell we decide to explain off them. This is the fourth one. Personally, well, my name is HSR, and I'm on a quest to read 60 books this year because I saw a meme that said CEOs do that, so I said I should too. So I decided that since we already do some reviews, we're already here popping off, it only makes sense to, put out some videos related to the books that we're going to read as a channel. I'm not the only one. Chris will be coming through soon with his first book review, and I'm going to try and encourage everyone to read more and contribute more so that, we can share some knowledge and you can decide what books are worth reading for your own educational quests. Anyway, that's enough about that. Today, we are discussing the 4 dysfunctions of execution, which is a team effort by Chris McChesney, Sean Covey, and Jim Huling. And this edition of the book came out April 14th, 2015. So it must be said before we go into this book that this 4DX, 4 Disciplines of Execution, that's what the cool kids say. They say 4DX. You know what's up. This is like a whole website. I'm going to link to it below in the description so you can go check it out. They've got like a whole tool that goes along with it. This is like a whole program that they offer. I'm certain that certain corporations pay for their services in like a consulting way to improve workflows. So that's kind of the context that almost gets presented to you right away. Basically, they're like, you should trust us because we've dealt with thousands of companies of all sizes, and we have spent years refining this process. In other books, we take shots right away. Other books, they don't do what we do. They tell you what needs to be done, like you need to organize and blah, 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 blah. But we, as in them, the guys who wrote this book, we do things a little bit differently over here. We tell you how to achieve that goal. I'm just going to put it out there. Most books do kind of take the time to explain how to achieve things in the way that they do. Maybe not every planning book. I haven't read a lot of project management stuff. This might be like my first one on actually putting processes into place and such, but I got the feeling it was a little bit of a shots fired move, and there's a reason for that, which we'll get into. So this book is broken into three parts. The first is, what are the 4 disciplines of execution? So at this point, I feel like the book is super practical and really a good read. A good read's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's useful. So these guys more or less lace in the knowledge with the graphs and the explanations, and that part of the book in this first section is really good. But then they go a little bit overkill in every second paragraph, pulling back to some anecdote of some successful experience with one of their clients to reinforce the idea. And at first it's okay, but it's only one of 8 or 9 companies really that gets listed and different things. Maybe I'm a little underselling it, but it just feels like they had these really great success stories, and they put them on blast the whole way through the book, drilling in the back of your mind, this shit works. And you're just like, okay, whatever. But still, the knowledge side of this is actually really good, even if the anecdote side is not so fun or enjoyable to read. But okay, they're okay at first, but by section 3, they're tedious. So the 4 disciplines, and these meaning that these are behaviors you need to adopt in order to change. Yes, that's a good way of wording it. I agree. The first is focus on the wildly important. And this is go out there and pick 1 or 2 really significant things that will make the most difference. So really evaluate all the things you can be doing, understanding that there is your daily life, and this is referred to as a whirlwind, and this daily life will always be there, and you will always have to do this. So in my life, we can say that my weekends at podcasts and now these book reviews and the different things. I go to work, I've got the girlfriend, we just put it all together, and that's our whirlwind, right? But then we still have to have these wildly important goals, and these are the most important things we can focus on to see significant improvement and growth. So they use stuff like safety standards and whatever. So I don't know, for the hell of it, let's say put out 300 videos this year or some crazy ludicrous goal like that, right? So let's say that's our goal. So in the midst of the whirlwind and all of our day-to-day lives, we'll call it, that's just to like contextualize it. You have to somehow find a way to decide that putting out these videos is like the most important thing to get to the next tier of life, we'll say, just to like paraphrase it. In business land, the book will definitely give you a crap ton of business land examples, but let's say 8 people get injured a month. We need to make that 0 people get injured a month, no matter what else. And then all the job of like whatever happens. Number 2, in terms of disciplines, once you've picked your goals, is to act up lead measures. It describes how you have lag measures. And this is stuff like, I don't know, let's say how much money you made last month. It's like the results of something. And the results are important to measure. And you should use the results as like goals to like aim for. So going from 8 injured people to 0, or to go from, let's say, 150 videos to 250 videos. Those would be like lag measures. Lead measures are things that you can quantify and control. So let's say, as an example, to take my video thing, we were putting in 10 hours a week. If we control this and we can tweak that and we all put in 12 hours a week, we get that much more content. So that's a lead measure to like reinforce the idea of the lag measure, which is 300, whatever. You get the point? Really, this is the book in like hundreds of pages. So if you watch this video, you can read the book still. It's better than, more eloquent, more detailed, more like, here's all the pitfalls you're going to find, but this is the base of it. Once you've decided the various metrics you need to influence the ones you're going for, you got to keep a compelling scoreboard. And this is actually kind of useful. You basically write out your goals, how far you are at getting to them, how much work needs to be done, where the target is. Get like a clearly, you look at it one shot, you know how good or bad you're doing. And that's always up there. And if you have teams with different scoreboards and everybody sees everybody's scoreboard, everybody's like, yeah, we got to have better scoreboards. And deep down, the psychology and competitiveness of all of us kicks in, and we become more enthused to try hard, because with a garbage scoreboard and no real sense of the everyday progress, you don't really feel the inspiration to put in that extra grind when it's time to hustle. Instead, you loaf or you do whatever, because what difference does it make in the end of the day? But with a scoreboard, everybody's like, that's dope. And it really is important for number 4, which is create a cadence of accountability, which is an interesting idea. They're basically like, hold a weekly meeting that focuses on these specific, wildly important goals, these WIGs. It says WIG, W-I-G, all over. It's really annoying. But so you got to create this cadence of accountability, have a little session. Everybody comes in, says, did I do what I committed to do? Yes, no. Throws it up on the board. Here's new ideas, how everybody's doing. If people fail, they have to be accountable, make up ways to like make, it's essentially supposed to be like a short, quick meeting. And that's kind of like what it is, and if it's going on long, you're doing it wrong. It just means nobody cares, right? Because people are supposed to come in prepared, ready to speak their like 2 minutes. I committed last week to put in 12 hours. I put in 15 because I'm the best. Or I committed 12 hours and I put in 7. Blah, blah, blah. But if the person doesn't follow up, right, then anyway, that might be later sections. That's just what it is. I don't know. Those are the 4 disciplines. Basically, pick the shit that's important, find a way to define it effectively, create a scoreboard, and be accountable, basic crap. And then they go into like more practical detail on how they feel you should do it. So that's the first section and like the book. Section 2 is everything we just talked about, but like in the scope of a team. So you might meet some resistance, and teams done right will like encourage each other, and you should find some ambassadors on a team and this, that, and identify who's struggling and make sure everybody has input, and the leader shouldn't do it all. And again, it follows through like proper, and it's not actually bad, but I can tell you something, if you are not leading a team, maybe read this, but otherwise it really is really well put in the first section. And the second section, down to the anecdotes and everything, starts to feel a little bit redundant. There's like in my opinion, what the third section is, and it's not called section 3. That is here are some CEOs who love us and what they have to say about us. And they, in their own words, described how the 40X methodology changed shit, like Hilton Hotels or Marriott or one of those hotels, and big people you've heard of, and their CEO speak in full CEO talk, and they proceed to describe the everything that we just covered in the first two sections. Clear, like, validation point. Section 3 is more macro level, so you've considered how to do it, you've installed it on your team, now here's how to install it on a company of 73,000 people and all that other stuff and blah blah blah. And I say it like that because honestly, by the end of this book, it's a little bit tedious. This is the first book I've had a little bit of trouble finding the motivation to like push through, especially coming off the heels of the riveting nature of the 5 dysfunctions of a team. This one is a little bit like, okay, like that's the best way to describe it. It covers all of the disciplines really effectively. And it does give you a lot of practical tools. But at least 1/3 of the words in this book are a clear and direct sales pitch. And that is my problem with this book a little bit. And I get it. They did all this research. They're trying to like get you to adopt their methodology into your company. And they're doing the hustle. They created their masterful piece of content. And in and of itself, it's a pretty decent piece of content. It's just that it could have been about 100 pages less by like shaving out a lot of the redundancy, refined it to like being a little bit, more useful. But then you wouldn't be going, my team could really benefit from 40X when you're done, which is what they want. They want you to go back in. They want you to go up to your bosses and be like, we must install 40X. And if you feel that way, this book has worked on you and they have dropped a bunch of cheesy sales crap on you. And it really bothered me. Like, it really rubbed me the wrong way. I felt like, look, I actually really appreciate the knowledge. In fact, like, I could see myself, like, I started acting on it. I started defining goals. I started working with my team a little bit wiser here. But honestly, it makes me not want to actually use their services, we'll say. I might use their methodologies, but by no means can I support the shallow sales efforts that this book is. So here's what I'm going to recommend to you. If you can find a really dope-ass summary of what the 4 disciplines are, maybe find, like, you know what? I don't really want to encourage it, but if you were to like steal this bad boy, rip it, read the first chapter and like delete the file or whatever you got to do, that might be the most use you're going to get out of this. I don't know. If you want to read the whole thing, go for it, but I don't have the same joy and enthusiasm. When I find you a proper like book in this vein that like gives me the feeling like I feel like I have to recommend this to you, I will let you know. But I will put the Amazon link to this book below. But really, I am just personally not feeling it. The knowledge, amazing. I actually think the disciplines are really worth learning. They're really good stuff. But I bet there's somebody out there that can explain it in a more compelling and more informative and more practical way without sounding like a boring, pretentious guy who knows it all like this dude does. He comes like kind of arrogant. And I get it. This dude sounds like he's been on the grind for like 20 years and has finally proven his crap and all of that. But when you sound like that, even if it's true, I guess I just don't feel your writing as much. No offense. Very informative. Hell, I'd even be inclined to read other stuff these dudes have like put out because the knowledge that they provide is pretty awesome. Their delivery could be worked upon, and that's why we'll come through and summarize should we encounter them again. That's about all I gotta say about this book. Let me know in the comments if you've read it, how you feel about it, what you think about it. And by doing so, you will enter into the Grind to 1,000 Subscribers contest. How that works is if you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and then leave that comment, you enter into a raffle where first prize is $100 of Amazon gift money. Plus, you get to request a review from the channel with the people on the channel you care about. Second prize is $50 plus the review. And third prize is $25 plus the review. So once we break past 1,000, we'll go on YouTube Live, have the list of comments, and pick some people using a random number generator. And that will be a good time. In the meantime, I'm going to go and read a little bit more and get back to you with a new book. Take care.